and welcome to Astrology Throwdown tonight, where we don't just throw down astrology facts, we also throw stones, which we did today. Really exciting. It happened in Southampton Village. Someone received a beautiful, strange looking gift in aluminum foil, or as they say in England, aluminium. Aluminium. I love that. I wish I could say aluminium. I like aluminum. It's such a bright. It's so everyday and it's so sparkly and bright. I just love it. And I wish that I were from England so I could say aluminium. I think that's way cooler. There's a lot of words that they say in a way cooler way. And we're stuck. We have to say them this way or else you look really pretentious. And who wants that? Not me. Anyway, so glad to have you here. I was given one of my assignments, my astrology assignments, I think, if I'm hearing things right. My main preoccupation in life is, am I hearing my guidance right? As long as I'm hearing it right, can't be too bad. But who knows? The spirit realm is mysterious and it's confusing, and who we don't know. We don't know what's going on over there. So I'm never 100% sure I'm hearing my guidance, but accurately. I do hear things, but anyway, I just have to keep working on it and hope for the best. There's nothing else I can do. And everything I do is guided, so I better be hearing something, right? Hopefully. Anyway, my assignment today was to look into Juno. It seems so random. What is Juno? Juno's an asteroid. Basically, my method with pretty much anything is I'll try a sampling of something and that'll be my baseline, and then I'll see if that works and I'll adjust it. I I tried that with healing herbs. I find out which are the best ones that everybody's raving about, and I just grab like 8 of them and try them and see what happens. And I actually did try that with healing herbs at the beginning of this huge psyop that they launched in 2020. I thought, oh, if they're going to try to make everybody sick with their BS stories, I'm going to really focus on healing. And at least I'll get my health back while they're scaring everybody. So I did look into herbs, and the ones that were the most raved about, I would say number one, if you're talking about Asia, would be ginger. So try ginger. And I got better. I think it was the ginger. And then basil, oregano, turmeric, garlic, onions, all that kind of stuff. So there's the main ones that everybody raves about. And then I just introduced that into my diet and I did get better. And then I tried all of these oils and I tried the ones that people really rave about. And the main ones that I glommed onto were patchouli, lavender, peppermint, rose. I like rose. There's the other ones that are probably very medicinal, like frankincense and anyway, they don't smell that good. So I'm trying to stick with the ones that I actually like to smell. Patchouli's really weird. I like it. I'm getting used to it. Whenever I'd get a package from India, it would have this really weird smell on it. Now I now realize that that smell is patchouli. So they have to know what they're doing in India, right? They have Ayurvedic medicine. They're probably a million times healthier than they are, as long as they stick with their Ayurvedic system and don't go with the banking style of health. Oh my goodness. Ooh, don't want my health care from bankers. That's my opinion. Wow. Ooh, I would much rather see what Ayurvedic things they're trying. I have never really gotten into Ayurvedic, but I bet there's a lot of wisdom there. I went more in the Chinese direction because I felt that they were fomenting a war with China at the beginning of this massive psyop that they launched in 2020. So I thought, oh, let's vindicate China. Obviously, they're under the same nightmare regime that we are, but they have so much knowledge, and I mean, whenever I've dealt with Chinese people, I've always been very impressed with them. And It was a really interesting experience. Find out what they know. And I think they're holding some things back because I couldn't figure out their astrology at all. So I think they're like pretty good at still hiding their astrology. But it's funny that everybody has astrology. Anyway, I'm rambling really bad. So my assignment today, my point is that I picked the planets the same exact way. I ramble terribly. Anyway, so I picked the big planets. There's the ones you can't avoid, which is Sun, Moon, Mercury through Pluto. And then there's the variable ones. So I went with the big stars that you hear a lot about. And again, I'm getting this from other people. I'm seeing what they're doing and hoping that they know what they're doing. And then I approach it and check it out for myself to see if it is going to pass my tests. So that's what I did with astrology. So I grabbed some of those asteroids, grabbed some of those stars. Obviously, the planets are not negotiable. Learned about the constellations and the houses and the angles, which is the ascendant, the descendant, and the midheaven and the IC. Right. So I didn't even know what I was doing, but I listened and listened and listened. I heard about Juno and Ceres and Vesta. I was like, is this real? I didn't know. But we're going to go into it and see if there's any validity to these asteroids. And today I got a tip to look into Juno, the asteroid, and it's on my astrology report if you want to go and see all of this stuff I looked up all over the internet, and you can see what the consensus is on Juno. What is Juno energy? What effect is it going to have on you? And everybody that I read seemed to think that there is a real influence here, and they could describe it. And I will I will say that I have been following this I started this in 2019, this astrology exploration. And Juno is always associated with the word marriage and long term relationships. And then you find out who Juno is. Juno was the wife of Jupiter. We always hear in astrology how Jupiter's like God and he's so benevolent and he's so jovial and he's so generous. Well, the story of Juno is that she's married to Jupiter and he cheats on her all the time. Boy, these themes, they come back in circles. Anyway, so Juno, poor Juno, has to deal with Jupiter's cheating. And it's really interesting, but that's her story. That she married her brother, Jupiter. And she's a goddess and she loves her husband and he cheats on her. And then she's so jealous and she goes around and punishes the women, tries to get Jupiter to love her. It's so sad. But again, that's a kind of energy. And that's the story. I think we all know that story, the jealous wife of Jupiter's story. So it's in all of our minds. And this is the energy of the asteroid Juno. And I suppose that astrologers researched charts and saw that where Juno was placed in the chart was an indicator of what the chart holders' long term relationships, how they would manifest. And that's what I got. And we're going to test it ourselves to see if that's valid for us. So I'm looking at 3 charts looking at the Juno placement because it's not going to be real until we do our own research and we look at our own charts. And I have 3 great charts. I wish I had a birth time on Elvis, Elvis Costello. I wish I had a birth time on him. I have a telepathic one, but I can't trust it at all because who knows if I'm hearing things right. And I don't know if I'm hearing things right. I hope I am. Any validation is wonderful. But anyway, that means that we have 3 charts that are totally accurate, but we don't have any houses on Elvis's chart. But we have good charts on me and Napoleon. Because we do actually know when Napoleon was born, because Napoleon did believe in astrology. Napoleon, I want to just study Napoleon's chart because there are things in it that don't really quite make sense to me. So I want us to go really deep into Napoleon's chart because we know the life he led. We know who he was. We know everything practically about him. There's very few people that you know that much about. I mean, I know the most intimate medical things about Napoleon because of poor Napoleon, what he went through in St. Helena, and we heard from his doctors. Oh, it's so sad. I can't talk about this. Anyway, so this is what I do. I get too emotional and then I don't deal with it. So that's my pattern. Anyway, it's not. It's the best I can do. So so Juno is is something that we're studying in these three charts. And it turns out that Napoleon's Juno was in Pisces in the fourth house. Okay, Napoleon I know about. Okay. I know about him probably better than I know about myself because I'm not totally objective about myself, unfortunately. But Napoleon, what did he want? I just read the letters to you. He wanted to merge with Josephine. He really wanted his twin flame. He wanted to dissolve into her. He wanted her to dissolve into him. That's Pisces energy. He's bringing that expectation to his marriage. He's married this person and now he wants to dissolve into her and he wants her to dissolve into him. Okay, that's pretty good analysis there. We just heard those letters. And it's in the fourth house. Well, we know from the memoirs that after Josephine was afraid of losing him, Josephine completely changed. And it's sad that there's everything's complicated and there is love involved between them. She does love him. She always loves him, I think. I think she cheated on him and sabotaged their relationship, maybe even out of love. I don't really at any point see Josephine not loving him. It's just that she's, I think, very wave borderline, and she kind of has to take control of things all the time. Napoleon said on St. Helena that her first answer to every question was no. Napoleon is not going to respect someone who reflexively answers every question by saying no. That is such a neurotic, controlling thing to do. It's so unhealthy. It's just so unhealthy. So it shows you what level she's on. So even if she does love him, she's going to like ruin it because she ruined it first. That's to me, very borderline thing to do. And I think it's so interesting that if you want to get into the whole narcissism aspect of it, because I do, there's a lot of narcissism. Look, if somebody has no empathy, they're probably going to be a narcissist. And if they do have empathy, then they have empathy, and it's a whole different situation. Napoleon had a lot of empathy, but he had the qualities of a narcissist that are very appealing. He's very powerful. He's very commanding. He's very in control. A narcissist is going to give you that feeling. It's going to be fake, but you're still going to feel that this person has power and control, and that's incredibly attractive. And that's why I've gotten sucked into one after the other, these narcissists, because it's so similar to Napoleon's energy, but he had a ton of empathy. So it makes sense that he would attract these borderlines because borderlines are the natural mate of the narcissist because they're looking to be saved and they want protection and they're so frail and they want to be rescued. And then the narcissist wants to play that heroic role. And it's not always a she, but she gets off on it, and then they kind of duplicate this dynamic, and then it degenerates into abuse because, she's really a nut after control. I'm talking about like the borderline in the relationship, and she's not able to reflect on consequences of her actions. She's just in this dyad with the narcissist. So it's so interesting that both of Napoleon's wives are just so borderline. And he didn't pick his second wife, so I can't say anything about that. That was arranged. But Josephine is very borderline, and they did have a dynamic that appealed to both of them. He was just cheating on her all the time, and she was just jealous and crazy about it. And they were like that for 15 years. So he didn't even want to stay in that marriage. It's really, there's a very interesting, complicated relationship. Anyway, I could talk about it forever, I'm sure. So, there you go. There's the marriage he had. And my point was, and I did ramble, that he had Juno in the fourth house, and Josephine would really read to him and baby him and put his head in her lap and stroke his hair. She did treat him like a baby. So that's right there, astrology. That's astrology paying off for you, because he did want to be mother. He's so commanding and domineering and so jealous of his own power. And, don't you question him. And then he was a baby. He's such a baby, too. He always had that childish feeling to him, which was a lot of his charisma, was that he really never did grow up in a way. And those kind of people that retain that youthful playfulness are they're so charismatic. So if only really did have that. And there he is, babied in his marriage, Juno. Okay, so that's fair. It's a fair something. And then we can look at Elvis's Juno. Ooh, Juno in Virgo. Okay, so what is Virgo? Virgo is, we all know, critical and perfectionist. I mean, these are all the bad things, but it's all the things we're scared of, uh, and just fussy. Get mad when you touch their stuff. This is like nightmare Virgo kind of stuff, that they're just always going to be like mad about something because you didn't do something perfectly. Anyway, so Elvis has three, oh my goodness, four, like almost four, let's just call them bodies in Virgo. So this is somebody who is not a stranger to Virgo energy by any stretch of the imagination. But he has really good aspects with the sun and Mercury in Virgo. So this is somebody who's like a super lucky, powerful Virgo communicator, because the Mercury rules Virgo. And Virgo, it's so funny because in Elvis's incredible audiobook, How to Play Guitar and Why, he opens it talking about astrology and how it's so lame that he's a Virgo. It's really funny. I love that whole um, episode. It's incredible. And how, Virgos are kind of wimpy and kind of certainly not Leos. And it is funny because it is true. It is true. Virgo's like kind of but it's a healing, helpful, um, caring, but it's the secretary, it's the servant, it's the page. It's not the Leo, it's the one holding the Leo's jacket. That's Virgo. But Virgo can be so devoted and so interested in helping, and I've always seen that he does really want to help the world. And he has Juno in Virgo, and from what I read, it said a Juno in Virgo in his long-term relationship wants it to be all about the truth. And I have to say something, it's, if that's true, and it has been true in my bizarre telepathic situation with him, because um I was horrible to him, but I did tell the truth, and I think he understood why it's time to tell the truth about every single thing, and we can't move forward. And he knows, I believe, it's at that point where we had better do something now, even if what I'm doing isn't perfect and I'm not doing it in the right way, and even if I am cruel sometimes, it's that drastic and it's that dire and it's that serious. And I did tell the truth. I didn't make anything up. And he, I think, respected that as cruel as it was. So there it is. The truth, even though we haven't ever met, the truth comes first. I think we both understand that the truth must prevail, even if the truth is that I'm sadistic. I'm a sadistic monster sometimes. That might be the truth too. I get so mad. I just get so mad. I really want good things, but I am very angry at the murderousness and the slavery and that dynasty is forcing Nuremberg Code violations on all of us. It is unhealthy for us to be forced to wear masks because they're involved in rituals that involve masks. And they like to play these games with us. There's no medical reason for that to still be going on. There's no medical reason for that to have been going on at all. So because there never was a reason for it, there's no reason to end it. In other words, if you want to get rid of those masks, you have to get rid of this dynasty. The virus is that dynasty. Then you can take the masks off. If you get rid of the dynasty is the source of the virus. The virus is the lies. Okay, there is a virus. I never said there wasn't a virus. There is very much a virus. It's that dynasty. So the only way to get the virus to end is to get very serious about cutting the strings off from that dynasty. They have no right to rule our nations whatsoever. They have no jurisdiction. They have no sovereignty. Everything they're doing is through Wizard of Oz type lies and tricks. Okay? And there's no argument against what I'm saying. It's the truth. I've been saying it for years. I've been proving it for years. There's no question about whether what I'm saying is true. The virus goes away when the strings get cut from that dynasty. That dynasty came up with it. It's that simple. Prove me wrong. Okay? So we learned something about Elvis's Juno and Virgo. This is somebody who wants to do good and work and be helpful and see improvements. And this is somebody who's a natural healer and wants to have long-term relationships that involve healing. That's just a standard analysis. it's good, dutiful. And yesterday I posted a song called My New Haunt that Elvis had put on one of his playlists. I suppose it was him. It was on his channel. And it said something that he wanted a woman that is dutiful. That's dutiful. That's the first thing on everybody's list, right? Dutiful. Say that's Juno and Virgo. It's interesting. You can't say that's not a Juno and Virgo thing to write. I hope she's dutiful. Who says that? That's funny. Anyway, so let's take a look at mine. Why not? Oh, mine is really interesting because it's part of a huge stellium. Okay. So what does that mean? So I have this grouping of planets next to Venus. So I have Juno aligned with Venus. Okay, so that makes it super ultra powerful, over the top. Okay, and then it's aligned with Ceres, which I talked about is nurturing, agriculture. It's a very caring maternal energy. Okay, so I've got all these the same kind of planets. So I must be something right there. Okay, and then on top of it, the North Node. So that's my destiny. It's everything that I'm heading towards is this super stellium of like wonderful female things. And then it's my destiny to go there. And it's right in between, this whole stellium is right in between Sagittarius and Capricorn. That's like a benevolent government, you see. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is good, religion, higher education, learning, the truth, communication of a high character. That's Jupiter. And then Capricorn is structures. So you put those two together, that's like colleges, libraries, knowledge institutions. That's where this incredible uh, Juno, Ceres, Venus, North Node destiny is. Not only that, but it's the top of a boomerang for the yod. So it's opposite Saturn. So the whole purpose of this afflicted Venus, kind of like a goddess energy, and then it's opposition Saturn. So it's like fighting captivity. It's the Saturn in the third house in Cancer. So the captivity energy is Saturn in the third house. That's communication and thinking, a place of Mercury in Cancer, which is the moon, feelings, the past lives, family. Yeah, so they're in a showdown. This incredible goddess energy against this blockage from the past. See, that's the dynasty. But it's many things. It's an energy that plays out over and over again. But I'm fighting the dynasty, so I'm like the Venus, the afflicted Venus. Where is it afflicted? It's afflicted a square moon, square Pluto, and of course opposition Saturn. So very, 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 very afflicted. And then there's a trine with Mars, but that's also very afflicted. So I actually put up Elvis's synastry chart with mine in that exact spot. This is incredible. He has his Mars. So if you overlay his chart on my chart, which I actually have on the blog, he could give me all the help in the world right there with his Mars energy. So that's the solution to my yacht. It's incredible. There's so many things. And I looked at our Juno, how the Junos line up on our synastry. It's really interesting. Anyway, so mine, and here it goes. So Juno, my Juno is in Sagittarius. Okay, so long-term relationship energy for me is going to have a Sagittarius quality. That's ruled by Jupiter. That's traveling, that's being very free, having a very open mind, having wanting to help people. It's very jovial. It's very international. So it's like so literal that he's foreign. That's Sagittarius. That's Juno Sagittarius. It's so literal. And the Juno is also in the ninth house, which is also a place of the same thing: religion, philosophy, traveling, uh, new experiences, being very benevolent and magnanimous. So it's so emphasized in my chart that Juno has to be of this Jupiterian quality. It's so literal. And then there's so much energy around it. And then there's the Mars. It's incredible. And I have said this, but one of the first things he said to me telepathically is to like check this stuff out. I think he thought I would find it very convincing. And I did. It was shocking because basically my whole story is that there is a great destiny unveiling itself to us. And I've always said that this is the hero's journey. He's clearly doing the hero's journey too. And every day I'm becoming more convinced that like that was supposed to be what he did. Everything he did, he was supposed to do, which is horrific to think of. And yet, I believe it's true. I think he was supposed to do everything. I think everything was supposed to play out the way it's I know it's hard to believe because so many terrible things happen, but I think it was supposed to happen this way. Okay, so I'm looking at our synastry chart just to see how our Junos line up as a prediction, if this is all validated by astrology, and it always is. Okay, so it's very interesting because his Juno in Virgo lines up with my Vesta in sixth house in Virgo. Okay, so just think about that. I have Vesta. Okay, that is devotion, dedication, service, keeping the secret fire alive no matter what. That is Vesta energy. It's complete dedication and devotion. Okay, and that is in the 6th house, which is a place of service in Virgo. Okay, which is all about service. Okay, so this is like too much giving. Okay, that's the explanation right there. I'm too devoted and I want to serve too much. I'm too much of a servant. And it's right there. Okay. And I have Pars Fortuna right there. So I'm lucky at it. And I am. Okay. I am lucky when I'm being devoted and I'm serving. It works for me. Okay. And then that is aligned with Cohen's Mercury, Sun, and Pluto. Okay, so Mercury's communication, the Sun is huge fame, and Pluto is huge power. Okay, so my luck lines up with his fame, power, and communication ability. Okay, his was already pretty good, but if you look at his chart, I'm telling you, he's bigger in the chart than he is right now because they have been holding him back. He should be way bigger, but they have been subverting him, all kinds of things. His career has been sabotaged. Even though it's been fantastic, it's been hugely sabotaged. There's no question in my mind about that. He just was so smart, he could hang on, but no, that's not the career. No, he could have, he has done great things, but he could do much. Anyway, so there's all kinds of things going on with this synastry. I am making my point because then you look at his Juno. What's next to his Juno in Virgo? A place of dutifulness. It's the Pars Fortuna again. See? So it's saying everything is lucky here around devotion and the long-term relationship in Virgo, which is all about service and giving. And I can't do houses on him. So, but for me, it's in a place of service and in a place of Leo, which is the 5th house. Okay, so everything here is like the biggest thing. Okay, I have to continue. And there's an alignment with Pallas Athena, which is the Valkyrie energy and pattern detection. I mean, everything I do is pattern detection. Okay, so there's Pallas Athena right there. What aligned with Pluto, which is just power. And Libra, all that's in Libra. See, so it's all in the field of art. It's incredible. Anyway, so we're going to go into because when he said it, he was like, you have to look at the charts. And I was like, oh, those are interesting. But I don't have the knowledge to really appreciate it because that whole thing I just described is ridiculous and I didn't even really notice it. I do have to go through this step by step so I can appreciate how fated this is. This is fate. So this is history in the making. It's mythology in the making. That's the wildest part. All right, I made my point. I made my point about you now. Anyway, so we'll keep at it. We'll keep plugging away, and we'll just have our like main asteroids and our main stars, and we'll stick with those. And if we have a good reason, I think that's a good. We'll be deep as we need to go with this astrology, with our sampling. So here's a letter from Napoleon to Josephine, just so you can see their relationship dynamics. It's she would do anything to keep him at this point, and I mean anything. She was crazy hanging on to him, and I guess he kind of liked that, if I know him. So I bet he did like that. Anyways, he's stuck with it for 15 years. So, and there you go. Let's hear one of those letters. Your letter, good little woman, informed me that you were out of sorts. Corvisart tells me that it is a good sign, that the baths will have the effect desired, that they will put you in a happy condition, but to know that you are suffering causes genuine pain in my heart. Yesterday, I went to see the Severs Manufactory in St. Cloud. 1,000 pleasant remembrances to all. For life, Bonaparte. That's as cold as you're going to get Napoleon. I think. He always said in St. Helena he was a good husband, and he took his being a husband responsibility seriously. He did. He did what he could. He was not with wives that he could talk to. No. No. They were not anywhere close to his level. No. They were not even close. They were manipulative. All right. So we're back to Cohen's memoirs. Okay. And this is going to be one of those things that I hate reading, but I'm going to read it. And we can all watch me suffer. All right, let's do this. I do not have the page right. There it is. Okay, I got it now. Okay. This song had come to me as I was heading for the Mexican border in a taxi about a week earlier. My passport was in my pocket, and my female cab driver was quite attractive. I'd taken a handful of white pills and wanted to see the sights outside Tucson, Arizona. As ungallant as this may seem, I do not recall her name, but I remember that she lived at a house that had a half in the number. The rest of the digits were in the thousands. Maybe it was only half a house. We'd had already done all that we were bound to do. It was hot, but only on the thermometer. Afterwards, she showered and put on another shirt. We went back to her cab. I hoped she hadn't left the meter running, so I didn't have that much cash left. Did I have enough left for very early morning in Mexico? Perhaps not. We got to the edge of town, started to annoy each other, arguing about the radio. The heat had gone out of the night, so she turned a cab around, drove me back to my motel. We said our curt goodbyes. Could I add a tip to the fare under the circumstances? Would it be taken as an insult? The sun was nearly up. I hadn't found anything that I was looking for, only an aching head and a dull, guilty regret. There was a Fender Palomino acoustic lying in the corner, in an open case, which, as you know, often symbolizes low morals or easy virtue in paintings of antiquity. It wasn't loud, so it was ideal for playing near dawn within thin walls. Anyway, someone was moaning nearby, and there was the regular tattoo of a headboard against the plasterboard. I thought, they get up early around here or never go to sleep. The song came quickly, a descending bass line and a rising melody. I had wanted to write something like Bacharach, David's, anyone who had a heart, because everything I did seemed to mark the absence of one. But I also lacked the skill, so I wrote a song that I could imagine. 30 minutes later, I had most of the lyrics and the chord changes that Steve Nye would later illuminate on the recording. Just as it had begun, the Hollywood high school show, Accidents Will Happen, would eventually open the album Armed Forces after we dropped an overly powdered up rocker called Clean Money that would have set an entirely different scene than a song that opened with the line, I just don't know where to begin. Accidents is a song about a straying lover struggling to tell the truth and face the consequences. I changed every I to we so as to share the blame that was entirely my own, and then changed I to he to further cover my tracks. This is pop music, not confession. Thank you for listening. Good evening.